Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to be reviewing It's a Wonderful Kingdom. This is a smaller 1 to 2 person spin-off of It's a Wonderful World. So it's also from Lucky Duck. It's also designed by Frederick Guerard, and let's go ahead and talk about it.
All right, so let's have a look at It's a Wonderful Kingdom. This is a smaller 1 to 2 player version of It's a Wonderful World, which I've also reviewed on this channel. If you've played It's a Wonderful World, you're going to notice a lot of similarities in the gameplay, but this is scaled for 1 to 2 players, and the game box actually comes with a lot of surprises and ways of playing the game that are very, very different from what It's a Wonderful World had to offer, and I think in a good way. So the first major change in this game is the way you get your cards. So It's a Wonderful World was a drafting game, and It's a Wonderful Kingdom is a little bit of a drafting game, but it's also a little bit of a bluffing game. So in a 2-player game, players are trying to trick each other into taking bad cards. In the solo mode, there is a way of mimicking that to give you some of that sense of drama and dread as you take some of your cards. And the other thing I want to note is that I'm showing you first the kind of very basic way the game is played, and then I'm going to talk to you about the modules. So the rulebook comes with some base rules that are then adjusted based on whatever module you want to play with. So you play the game, but you include one of the modules in order to make it its complete self. So in solo mode, what you're first going to do is you're going to take 8 cards from this development deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're going to take 4 of these calamity cards that are worth -4 points at the end of the game. So It's a Wonderful World didn't have anything like these negative points, but It's a Wonderful Kingdom has lots of scary little cards that are going to mess with you, and it's kind of fun. So we're taking 4 calamity cards, and we're going to mix them in here. And this is now called the Danger Deck, and it does in fact have some danger because we know that the calamity cards are in it. The other thing we're going to do is choose one of these duchies. So just like in It's a Wonderful World, they have an A side that allows you to score some extra points, and then a B side that's production only. So the B side is a little bit more difficult, and then the A side gives you a bit of a boost. So I would start with the A side before progressing to the B side. So let's just say that we are the Duchy of Valados for this playthrough, and we're going to keep this duchy card right here. Oh, and this development deck will now be face up for the duration of this little fake draft, so y'all can see it. So basically the way we're going to play this is we're going to put 2 cards from the development deck in each of these offering areas. So we'll move this out of the way. And our draft is done by placing cards above and below this little player board. So basically my first choice is between this treasure card that just gives me 2 resources and this gigantic mine, which I could build and get its production or take it for a resource, which is in that top right corner. Down here I have 2 cards that I might want to build. So a farm that costs 4 gray resources, navigators that cost 2 gray and 3 purple, or again, if I decided to recycle one of these cards, then I could get a purple resource or a blue resource instead of paying the cost to build it. So let's say that I want to take these 2 cards. So I will take this part of the offer. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to take 1 card from the danger deck and put it face down next to the offering that I didn't pick. So maybe this is a 3rd card that I kind of want, or maybe it's a calamity. I don't know. Then we're going to add 2 cards from the development deck to the empty offering area. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to do this 4 times. So let's say that I want to take a risk and take these top 3. I'm going to leave this card face down for the moment. And then we will put a card from the danger deck here. Put 2 cards out. Let's say I'm going to take these 2. So then another card will end up here. And now I get to decide, ooh, maybe I want to take all 4 of these cards, but the odds of one of them being a calamity is pretty big. Or maybe I'll play it safe and take these 2. Let's be crazy. Why not? This isn't a real game. Ha ha ha. Alright, so now that I've done that 4 times, then my choice phase is over. And what's going to happen is these are just going to kind of go away. And now we're going to move on to the planning phase. So there was a bit of mystery in that selection process. So I'm going to back up just a bit and let you see another possibility that could have happened. So let's say that these were the offerings and that I had a face down card here. One thing I could do is spend my spy token to take a peek at it and see what it is. So basically your spy token, when it's available, will only become available again at the end of the next choice round. So you start with 1 eye open and 1 eye closed, so that this one you can use in the first round, and then this one you could use in the second, is basically what's going on there. So I could flip this and it's temporarily unavailable after that. to see this was not, in fact, a Calamity card, and I could have just taken it. So once, maybe twice, depending on your timing and how much you've used these per choice round, you can take a peek at these face down cards and see if you're really in any danger or not. In the 2-player version of the game, each player gets what are called trap tokens that allow you to place a card face down, either because you really want it and you want the other person to stay away, or because it's horrible and you're trying to stick them with it. So mind games. So that's how the spy tokens work. And yes, there are some ways to mitigate the risk of grabbing those face down cards. But for now, let's grab these. And we're going to go into a planning phase. So the planning phase is basically just like it was in It's a Wonderful World if you've played that. But essentially what's going to happen is we are going to choose which cards we want to build and then which cards we want to discard for materials. So I already know every turn I'm going to produce 3 gray resources and 1 blue. So I know that's what I have to work with for starters. Then I have to think about which of these prices on the left I want to pay. So anything I want to build is going to have a price on the left. I'm going to have to pay that cost in order to build it. So I have to plan. If I decide I don't want a card, then I can recycle it and just get this resource token in the top right corner. However, if I build the cards, then they often have permanent bonuses to my production or earn me points or other things that make them useful. So I'm going to have to make smart choices about what to keep and what to scrap. So I know I'm producing a lot of gray, so this is an easy keeper. We'll definitely keep the market. And then I'd like to see what I can do about blue cards. So maybe we can keep this one and hope that we'll be able to build it later. We should also flip these face downs. Ooh, I managed not to pick up any calamities. That's actually a miracle. They're somewhere in here. Oh my. So let's say that we're still going to try for the Kaladin Fault. And then what else would we like to do? Is anything going to produce blue? Ooh, this rewards me for blue, just like my main card does. So maybe I'd want to keep that for that blue bonus and just go all in. This is just a treasure card, which I can immediately scrap and take 2 grays, which is very nice because it'll get me on the way to building a card already. I think I definitely want to try to build this one because I'm also going to be trying to build blue cards. And that'll be points for me. So all these cards that produce yellow resources that I really don't need, I can discard these and take 4 yellow cubes. The problem is that I don't actually have any cards that have spaces for yellow cubes. It's all blue, purple, and gray. So these are all going to go here towards the creation of a red cube. And those are wild and they can be very, very handy. So we're going to just put that there. And then with these 2, let's go ahead and discard this one for a blue because we could use it. And that means that during this production round, this card is going to get built, which is great. And then this one, this purple, let's go ahead and try to build it so that we can get the purple production we need to get this card built. So really I kept a lot and I got a few extra cards because I just wanted to take a risk off of this danger deck. Danger, danger. So these cards I'm going to discard. And so that was our entire planning phase. I chose my cards, I planned out what I wanted to do with them, and now we're going to do what's called the production phase, where we produce these resources in order based on what's actually on my cards. So right now it doesn't look like much is going on, but I do naturally produce some things. So I've got 3 grays that I will naturally produce, and that's what we'll do first. So what's kind of nice is that, guess what? I made these 3 grays into a market. So this will go right here. And then next time I'll produce 4 grays. And later in the turn, I'm going to produce a yellow. So we did gray. Purple. I don't produce any purple yet, so nothing will happen. Yellow. I do produce 1 yellow. I've got nowhere to put it. So guess what? That's 5 yellow cubes that I can trade back for a red. So that's a wild that I can use at some point in the future when I'm a little bit desperate. There's no need to use it just now. And then here, I've got 1 blue. And so then my Moonbramble Forest will be complete. And so I can return these cubes to the supply. And the Moonbramble Forest doesn't produce any goods for me, but it's a blue card, which is going to give me some points. And I have a production bonus, which is 1 soldier. And we're going to talk about how useful these soldiers are in a moment. So that was my complete round 1. Basically, I would advance to round 2. I would draw some more cards off of this deck, create myself another choice round, play it out, and just do exactly what I did for this round 3 more times. So, what are the soldiers good for? We are about to find out. So they're not worth points. The point of this game is to get the most points. And soldiers aren't worth any at the end of the game. But they do help you in significant ways, depending on which module it is that you're playing. This game comes with 3 different modules, each of which is going to change it in significant ways. So here we have the Calamity cards. However, if you don't want to play with the Calamity cards, you can play with something else, which is the Menace module. So because this game introduces the concept of negative points, there are also several different kinds of cards that can do that to you if you are playing the Menace module. So in a 2-player game, each of the players is going to pick one of these Menace decks and then use it to try to hurt the other person. So we have Frost Giants, which give you negative points and lock up your construction. We have Vermin. So there are some giant rats that not only cause you negative points, but also can swarm you with their little vermin friends. There's Shadows that force you to lose cards, and instead of getting the recycling for yourself, give it to your opponent. And then there are Thieves who stop production of specific resources and can block your production while you have not fought them. So all of these are worth negative points, and they also cause you trouble in the game. However, the way to get rid of them is, as you can see, a cost in soldiers. So you're going to want soldiers very badly in Menace mode so you can get rid of these negative cards that are messing up your flow. So in a 2-player game, instead of having Calamity cards to try to slip into the choice phase, the players are each going to have one of these Menace card types, and they're going to try to stick the other player with them. In solo mode, you essentially replace the Calamity cards with one of these card sets. So these are all going to go into your danger deck, and they are going to mess you up. However, if Menaces don't sound like your kind of thing, you don't actually have to play with them because you have other options. Another type of card module you can play with is the Advisors. So these cards offer you access to advisors who give you some skills, and also you need to pay soldiers to use their special abilities. So you're going to want to build up your military in order to take advantage of your advisors. When you play solo with the advisors, you should remove all the ones that have a 2-player logo on them. Draw 2 advisor cards and choose one to start with, and then the other ones get shuffled into the deck. So those treasure cards that I was talking about, these cards that have 2 resources, these are actually replaced by advisors when you're playing with the advisors module. And perhaps you don't want to play with advisors either. Guess what? You do have a third option, and that option is to go on a noble quest. There are 3 different quests in the game, and basically with these you use the generic setup that's in the rulebook. But you have to have some step tokens to show whether you have completed steps of this solo quest. There are 2-player quests on the back of these, by the way. Essentially what happens is that each of these quest steps gives you a reward, but you don't actually have to complete them, or you don't have to complete them in order. The only thing that's required is that by the end of the game, you do the 4th step of the quest. If you haven't completed the final step of the quest, even though these other steps are optional, without this one, you just can't win. So if you want to try some quests, you can play the Usurper, you can play the Pestilent Lord, or you can play the Northern Lands and conquer the North. So that is It's a Wonderful Kingdom. As you can see, it has a lot of shared DNA with It's a Wonderful World, its bigger brother. But this one also packs several special punches of its own. So let's talk about them in the final thoughts.
All right, so now for some final thoughts. It's a Wonderful Kingdom is such an interesting play on It's a Wonderful World. You know, I really thought of the OG It's a Wonderful World as just kind of like a relaxing, puzzly game that, you know, you just crunch your cards and you have a nice time and it's relaxing. And I didn't really think about how expansive the system of this game could be until I played It's a Wonderful Kingdom. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with what the designers have managed to do with this game. So when I found out there was a 1 to 2 player version of the game, I was like, oh, is it pretty much just going to be more of the same, but like smaller, different solo challenges? No, this thing is a total wild set of changes to the way the game works that I think is really, really exciting. I think the addition of things like Calamity cards or Menaces, if you decide to play that way, is super fascinating because it just gives you an extra challenge to overcome in the game. And I also really thought it was cool that instead of just kind of having these 1-point tokens for the people, the man, the woman that you can get in It's a Wonderful World, having soldiers in It's a Wonderful Kingdom that don't score points but have like a purpose was very, very interesting. I like the way that they were folded into the advisor system. I love the way that they were folded into the menace system, if you can stand to play a game that's that mean. And I just really liked the way that the game changes when you have those additional challenges there. I don't really mind the quests either, but I will say that they're not necessarily my favorite just because not all the steps are mandatory, and that's kind of a weird thing to get into my head at first. Like I often look at them and think I have to get through all of the steps. But I do like to play with the quests if I just want to play a relatively normal game and just mess with the mechanisms. Having the quest there as the module that I choose to use is the most workable when I just kind of want to play with those base rules. Also, although I know I didn't get the full effect of it because I was playing it solo, I really like the bluffing aspect of the card draft for this one, where you have cards that show up face down. With another person, I feel like that has a great like Princess Bride, Witch Cup has the poison kind of vibe to it that is just really funny. And I can imagine that being super fun to do with a friend, especially a friend who likes to play mind games. In solo, I liked it because it still felt like a bit of a gamble because I was like, ooh, like, I don't know, is this card a calamity? Do I want to risk it anyway? Like, it's only -4 points. But if you're playing with the menaces, of course, it could be way worse than that. So the addition of like little risks and things to mitigate and be worried about on top of that economic base, I thought was a really cool idea. And to me, it made a game that was already very exciting even more exciting. If I just want to play plain old It's a Wonderful World and mess around with its mechanisms, I'm probably still going to go back to the base game because with It's a Wonderful Kingdom, it's very clear you're supposed to play that with one of the modules every time. So if you're not in the mood to do that, then you might still want the main game. But this one I thought had a lot more spice and excitement, and there are a lot of more interesting turns that a game can take in It's a Wonderful Kingdom, and that was really, really gratifying for me. I was super impressed that they were so creative with what they could do with a very good base game to create something that has even more kind of flavor and tension than the original did. So if you just want a puzzle and no flavor and tension, stick to the original. But if you want a little bit of spice, and that's what you needed to improve your It's a Wonderful World experience, and you like to play 1 to 2 player games, then I think It's a Wonderful Kingdom is actually going to be the better choice for you. I really like it. I'm very impressed with the flexibility that the designers have shown in making it. And if you liked that base system, but you want to add a little more drama to the proceedings, then It's a Wonderful Kingdom is a fantastic choice for you. So with that said, thank you so much for watching, and most of all, happy gaming.